Hi everybody, my name is Holly, and today I'm making a video about something that I really enjoy doing every single year, and that I wanted to make a video about and that I don't ever see on BookTube or on YouTube in general. Those that don't know what Canada Reads is, I just would describe it as a book club with debate. CBC, which hosts Canada Reads, it's Canada's broadcasting company, so public media, hosts this event every year at the beginning of the year where they have 5 defenders, each defending a book, and it is their goal to try and argue which book they've chosen best fits the theme of the year. And the theme for 2020 is a book to put Canada in focus, with the intent being that whichever book fits that theme the best is the book that all of Canada should read that year. It's really bookishly nerdy, and I love it for that. Like, it's just wholeheartedly and like gung-ho, like, we love books, we love reading, they have something to say, there's an importance to them, let's talk about it. And so you get these 5 people, always from really diverse and interesting and different backgrounds of experiences and jobs and just perspectives, and they sit together and they debate why their book fits the theme the best, and it just brings so much rich discussion and interesting dialogue to all these different perspectives on whatever this theme is. And the books themselves tend to be very diverse. I mean, there's been it's not all just literary fiction, there's been sci-fi and memoirs and a few YA books, some magical realism is pretty common, and there are some literary fiction as well. It's just such a nice mix, you get so much happening. Basically, the beginning of January, they put out a long list, and from those books, our 5 defenders, who are secret at this point, are going to each pick a book. I want to go through the defenders and the books that they've chosen, because as of January 22nd, I believe it was, the defenders and the books that they chose were announced. I intended to make this video way sooner. I had filmed something, but I was sleep deprived and coffee deprived, and when I went over the footage that I had filmed, it was a mess, it was a disaster, nothing was coherent, there were long pauses between what I was saying, and it was bad, friends, it was bad. So the first book on the list is by Gail Coles, and it's called Small Game Hunting at the Local Cowards Club. And from what I understand, and I really like to go into these books not knowing too much, just a blurb, so from what I understand, it is a book set in Newfoundland at a particular restaurant following a cast of characters, either just within this restaurant, I don't know whether they're patrons or servers or both or whatever, and that's the story. The defender for Small Game Hunting is Elena Fender, who, interestingly enough, is actually a YouTuber. And now usually the defenders have some sort of small claim to fame, at least in some way, whether they're an actor or an activist or something, and their name is at least known a little bit. And I think that is so cool that they picked a YouTuber. Like, what an acknowledgement that YouTube as a media, as a platform, has power, has sway. And I just thought that was really cool. I've not actually watched any of Elena Fender's videos, but I'll definitely have to check her out. The second book is Radicalized by Cory Doctorow. And this is an interesting choice. So the first book was, from what I understand, literary fiction, but it's fiction, it's a novel. This is actually a collection of 4 novellas, and there's been short story collections and poetry and other sort of genres and mediums out there and put up, and graphic novels I think at least once or twice put on the long list, but I've never seen something other than a novel or a memoir in my limited years. I've been doing it for like maybe 4 or 5 years now. I've never seen something of smaller fiction variety chosen, and so I think this is a really interesting choice. I'm fascinated to get something different. One of the things I love about Canada Reads is how it makes me read outside my comfort zone. I would probably never pick this book up on my own, but because I have to read it for Canada Reads, I'm pretty excited about it. So the defender is Akil Augustine, and from what I understand, he worked with the NBA, the NHL, whatever the soccer league's called on the major level, something sportsy. He's a public speaker, and I think he runs storytelling workshops. The third book is sort of a memoir, creative, non-fiction style book by Samra Habib, and it is called We Have Always Been Here. This book I had heard about before Canada Reads. It's sort of been on my radar, and I really actually was intrigued about picking it up to begin with, so I was completely like psyched when I saw it on the long list, and actually squealed a bit when I saw that it got chosen on for the short list. The book, from what I understand, again, just the blurb, is sort of a memoir of Samra Habib's life, her early life in Pakistan and then growing up in Canada, and also an exploration of her own queerness, of what Islam means to her, and what it means for her to be a queer Muslim. And so I'm really, really interested in this. I barely ever read memoirs or creative nonfiction. I think pretty much the only time I have is because of school or because of Canada Reads. But this one I was excited about before. The defender for We Have Always Been Here is Amanda Brugel, who is an actress. You might know her from Handmaid's Tale or Kim's Convenience. She's apparently going to be in a movie with Kevin James or something, but she's done a lot. It looks like she has a lot of upcoming stuff. I haven't actually seen anything except for Kim's Convenience, and I think she's pretty cool in there. The fourth book is From the Ashes by Jesse Thistle, and this is a memoir of Jesse Thistle's life from his childhood and into his adulthood, tracking his experience as a drug addict and living on the streets of Toronto, and sort of exploring generational trauma. He not only explores it from a sort of more familial sense of generational trauma, but also a cultural sense. So he is Métis and Cree, and he explores, you know, some of the effects of how losing his history and losing his culture has impacted him and his family's life, and how he managed to start getting that back and rediscovering who his family was and as well who he is. And the defender for Jesse Thistle's book is George Canyon, who apparently is a country singer, and he seemed pretty cool in the announcement clips that I saw. And the fifth book is Son of a Trickster by Eden Robinson. It's also the only one I have to hold up. And from what I understand, this is about a native kid named Jared, and we sort of start off with his early life and into his teens, and there seems to be weird things happening with him. From what I understand, it's sort of a magical realism book, and I believe the sort of mythical figure of the Trickster is prevalent in this story, especially given the title is Son of a Trickster. And the Trickster, if you don't know, is a sort of figure in a lot of, from what I understand, indigenous and native cultures and mythology, and just comes up in a lot of stories. Almost every story I've ever actually heard seems to feature the Trickster. So I'm actually really excited about this one. This one was really big. It had a lot of buzz a couple years ago. Yeah, it came out in 2017. And I was intrigued to read it. It was on my radar, but I didn't go out and get it, and now I finally have an excuse to get to it. I did start it. It's pretty good so far. The defender for Son of a Trickster is Genya Dia Horn, and she is a Canadian actress. Canadians might know her from Letterkenny as one example, and she seems to be rather a bit of an activist too. I found one video when I was trying to figure out how to pronounce her name, speaking out for like native public libraries. And so she seems like a really interesting person. I've found a lot of little tidbits that just sparked my interest in her. I think she will bring so much to the discussion. So those are the defenders and the books for Canada Reads. I'm thinking I'm going to sort of sporadically vlog my reading progress on these books, given that I like to get them from the library, so I can't just read them all in one go. I'm not buying them, it's when I get them. The hold lines for these books, the second the shortlist is announced, get very, very long. I put myself on hold when the long list was announced, so I'm a little bit ahead of some people, which is the only reason I got Son of a Trickster as fast as I did, but I am going to probably have a difficult time with some of the others, especially Small Game Hunting. There was already a lot of buzz for that book prior to the shortlist announcement. The line was already quite long. I'm sorry that my videos have been sporadic. I just want to take a quick second and say this. I found myself immediately falling into this trap where I was just starting to create content for the sake of having content to put up. I don't want to do that. I only want to make things that interest me, that I feel really excited about, and that I feel proud putting on my channel. So if my videos are sporadic, if they don't happen frequently, if it's not 2 to 3 times a week, if it's not even every week, I'm okay with that because I want to be happy with what I put out. I want to put out what I'm excited to put out and not just filler, basically. I don't want to do that. So thank you for watching this video, and until next time, bye!